Have you ever felt like something deep inside you is shifting, like your spirit knows something your mind can't explain? Maybe you felt restless lately, awake in the middle of the night, sensing that God is trying to tell you something urgent before the morning comes. This isn't coincidence. This is divine timing. When heaven wants to move in your life, it starts by stirring your soul. So if you're hearing this right now, it's not by accident. It's a message meant for you. God says, listen carefully tonight, because before tomorrow morning, everything can change. If tonight your heart feels heavy for no clear reason, if you can't sleep though your body is tired, or if your spirit feels unsettled like something is about to happen that is not random, it's a spiritual stirring. When God wants to get your attention, He doesn't always speak through thunder or fire. Sometimes He speaks through restlessness. You might think you're anxious, but in truth your spirit is being awakened. Heaven is trying to align you for something new, and your soul senses it before your mind can understand it. That uneasiness you feel isn't fear, it's awareness. The atmosphere around you is shifting, and your spirit can feel the movement. God is moving pieces behind the scenes, preparing something, protecting you from something, or pushing you towards something. When you feel that spiritual tension at night, don't drown it out with noise or distraction. Be still. Ask God, what are you trying to show me? Because often the moments that feel most uncomfortable are the moments when heaven is the closest. That restlessness is your sign. Something divine is taking place before tomorrow begins. If a name, a face, a memory, or a situation keeps coming back to your mind tonight, even after you've tried to forget it, it's because God is not finished healing that part of your story. The human heart loves to bury pain and move on, but the Spirit of God brings old wounds to light so they can finally close. Sometimes, before He opens a new door, He makes you revisit the old one to lock it completely. That thought that won't leave you isn't there to hurt you. It's there to free you. God might be nudging you to forgive, to release, or to understand something you couldn't see before. Maybe you've been praying for peace, and this is His answer. Peace comes after closure. Don't resist what He's resurfacing tonight. Sit with it. Talk to Him about it. Cry if you must. Because sometimes the reason you can't forget is that heaven is offering healing one last time. Before tomorrow begins, God wants you to stop running from what hurt you and finally let Him turn it into wisdom. When you do, your heart will feel light again, ready for what's coming next. If tonight you find yourself reflecting on how far you've come, realizing that what once broke you no longer controls you, that is a sign that heaven has been working in silence. Growth is often invisible, until one day you notice you've changed. You look at the same situation that once made you cry and realize you now have peace. That's not coincidence. That's maturity. God has been shaping your heart through every delay, every disappointment, every waiting season, and before tomorrow's breakthrough, He wants you to see who you've become. You're no longer that fragile version of yourself who doubted, begged, or feared. You've learned to trust, to wait, to stand. This awareness is sacred. It's heaven's way of saying, you're ready now. You're ready to handle the blessings that once would have overwhelmed you. You're ready to lead, to love, to rise. The reason this reflection came tonight is because a new phase is about to start tomorrow. God wanted you to pause for a moment, to honor your own strength, to see that every storm you survived was never wasted. Your endurance has become your testimony, and the dawn that's coming will reveal why it had to be this way. If lately your prayers seem to echo with no response, if heaven feels quiet and your faith feels unanswered, that silence is not rejection, it's refinement. There comes a sacred stillness before every divine move, You're not being ignored. You're being invited to trust deeper. God often hides his voice when he wants you to rely, not on signs or sounds, but on faith itself. Silence is his classroom, and you are his student. It's where he strengthens your discernment, teaching you to feel his presence without needing constant reassurance. When everything feels quiet, it's because he's preparing something too detailed for words. The silence is the space between prayer and promise, the divine pause before fulfillment. Don't confuse silence with absence. The teacher is always silent during the test. Tonight, if you feel that stillness, don't panic. Be still. Rest in knowing that the God who once spoke will speak again, and when he does, everything you questioned will make sense. Before tomorrow morning, don't chase noise. Sit in the quiet. That silence is holy. It's heaven's breath before a divine release. If you've been noticing certain numbers, times, or patterns showing up everywhere, on clocks, receipts, signs, or license plates, don't dismiss it as random coincidence. When your eyes are drawn again and again to the same sequence, it's not just your imagination, it's alignment. God speaks in many ways, and one of the quietest, most mysterious ways he does so is through repetition. Patterns that whisper truth to those who are spiritually awake enough to notice. You see, the physical world often mirrors what's happening in the spiritual. When your soul begins to align with divine timing, your environment starts reflecting that rhythm back to you. It's as if heaven begins tapping you on the shoulder, saying, "Pay attention. You're in sync with something sacred." These patterns, 11:11, 3:33, 7:07, or even seeing the same word, phrase, or event repeat, are not accidents. They are signs of synchronization, evidence that your spirit has entered the flow of divine order. God knows that sometimes words can't reach us the way patterns can. Our logical minds tune out sermons, advice, even our own prayers when fear gets too loud. So instead, he speaks in the language of creation, symbols, timing, rhythm. He leaves spiritual breadcrumbs scattered throughout your days, guiding you back to awareness. And when you start to notice, when your spirit quickens and you whisper, "That's strange. I've seen this before," heaven smiles because it means you're finally listening. Every number, every pattern carries a frequency, not in a mystical sense, but a spiritual one. It's heaven's reminder that everything has a season, everything has a sequence, and your life is moving according to a divine plan. When you keep seeing repetition, it means your steps are being ordered, even if your path feels uncertain. It's God's way of saying, "You're right where I need you to be. Keep walking, keep believing." But there's something deeper about these patterns that most people overlook. They don't just appear to comfort you, they appear to prepare you. God often sends repetitive signs in the quiet before change, in the silence before a breakthrough. The numbers begin to repeat because heaven is confirming that the shift is near before every major transition in your life. Whether spiritual growth, opportunity, or revelation, your awareness heightens. You start seeing beyond the surface. You begin noticing how everything connects. That's when you know you're stepping into alignment with destiny. For example, when you see numbers like 11:11, it often comes when a door is opening, a call to make a decision, to move, to step into faith. 3:33 might remind you of divine completion, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit working together behind the scenes. 7:07 could signal spiritual perfection or the end of a cycle. It's not about superstition, it's about spiritual awareness. God uses the familiar to wake you up to the unseen. These moments are less about the numbers themselves and more about the message. You are seen, you are guided, you are part of something larger than what you can comprehend right now. When your spirit begins to live in rhythm with heaven, you stop moving from chaos. You start moving from divine flow. The more you pay attention to these patterns, the more your faith strengthens, because you begin to realize that nothing is random, not the timing, not the people you meet, not the moments that repeat. Everything carries purpose. God doesn't waste details. Every repetition is like a heartbeat, a steady reminder that His presence is woven into the ordinary. If you've been seeing these signs lately, it's because something in you has matured. You're not as distracted as you once were. You're starting to walk with spiritual eyes open. You're beginning to hear beyond sound and see beyond sight. Heaven reveals through symbols what your heart is finally ready to understand. You may not always interpret the meaning right away, and that's okay. The goal isn't to decode everything, it's to remain aware. Awareness keeps your spirit sensitive to the whispers of God. Sometimes these repeating signs come when you feel most lost, most unsure of what's next. It's His gentle reassurance, even when you can't see the whole path. I'm directing your steps. It's like He's reminding you, stay in the flow. Don't rush. Don't fear. You're not missing anything. You're aligning with everything. That's the power of divine rhythm. It slows your panic and awakens your purpose. So tonight, as you notice the same time flash across your screen again, or you catch the same sequence on a receipt, stop for a moment. Don't brush it off. Acknowledge it. Whisper, "Okay, God, I see." Because every acknowledgement builds connection. The more you recognize His patterns, the clearer His direction becomes. You begin to feel when to move, when to pause, when to release, when to receive. That's the essence of spiritual maturity, walking in sync with heaven's heartbeat. Before tomorrow morning, understand this: these repeated patterns are not random noise, they are divine signals. God is teaching you His timing. He's showing you that His guidance isn't limited to thunder or vision or prophecy. It's in the smallest, simplest reminders that you are part of something eternal. The more aware you become, the more peaceful you'll feel, because awareness brings alignment, and alignment brings rest. So if you've been seeing these repeating numbers, phrases, or moments, don't panic and don't overthink. Just know, heaven has your attention now. You are tuned to the frequency of purpose. Something new is about to unfold, and the patterns were only the first whisper. God says, "You've noticed the signs. Now prepare your spirit. Tomorrow will reveal what I've been aligning all along." There are moments when your soul begins to ache for quiet, when the noise of the world suddenly feels unbearable, and even the people closest to you cannot understand the heaviness in your chest. That feeling, that strange and sacred pull towards silence, is not a mood or a random thought. It's God calling your spirit to meet with Him. When heaven wants to reveal something, it rarely comes through chaos, it comes through calm. So if tonight you feel an unexplainable urge to disconnect, to put your phone down, to turn off the music, to step away from the constant noise of life, listen to that instinct. That's the Spirit of God whispering, "Come away with me for a moment." The world may call it isolation, but heaven calls it invitation. Every time your soul feels the need to be still, it's because heaven is trying to speak. You see, the chosen ones walk a different path. They can't survive long in noise because their assignment depends on discernment. And discernment cannot live in distraction. There are things God cannot show you in a crowd, words He cannot speak when you're surrounded by chatter. The quiet moments, those strange hours of the night when you suddenly feel like crying or praying, are often the most divine. You may not realize it, but when your spirit is restless and you can't explain why, it's often because heaven is trying to download direction, strength, or warning into your heart. You're not losing your mind. You're receiving revelation. But to catch it, you must be still. Before every divine move, God silences his chosen ones. He slows them down so they don't miss what's coming. The stillness may feel lonely at first, like being cut off, like everything has paused. But that is where power is born. In the stillness, God restores your sensitivity to his voice. The noise of the world dulls your hearing. It clouds your vision. It weakens your faith. But when you step into stillness, it's like your spirit begins to breathe again. That's where clarity lives. That's where peace begins to speak louder than fear. And that's where you begin to see that not every delay is a denial. Some pauses are protection. God isolates before he elevates. If you feel that divine pull tonight, don't ignore it. The urge to pray, to just sit in silence, is heaven's alert. It's not about performing some long, perfect prayer. It's about alignment. God doesn't always want your words. Sometimes he just wants your attention. You may think nothing is happening in those quiet moments, but that's where everything begins. Heaven moves when your heart listens. The stillness you feel right now is not empty. It's sacred. It's God preparing your next chapter in silence. You may not hear thunder or see visions, but the peace that suddenly fills your chest is proof that he's near. Many chosen ones mistake this season of stillness for spiritual dryness. They think God has gone silent, but in truth, he's speaking in a softer frequency, one that requires your full focus to hear. It's like tuning into a whisper while the world shouts around you, and once you start to catch it, you'll realize that he's been talking the whole time. The reason you feel drawn to pray right now, in this very moment, is because something is about to shift. Heaven moves first in spirit, before it moves in sight. So that feeling of urgency, that sudden sense of, I need to pray, or I just need to be alone, is God aligning your spirit with what's coming. It means a spiritual storm or a breakthrough is on its way, and he wants you anchored before it arrives. When God tells you to be still, he's not punishing you, he's protecting you. You may think you're missing out on opportunities, people, or plans while you sit in that silence, but what you're really doing is avoiding noise that could derail your purpose. Stillness is your shield. It guards your heart from confusion and positions you for clarity. The enemy works through chaos. God works through calm. That's why your spirit is craving quiet tonight. Heaven is ready to speak, and you must make room to hear. And when you finally respond to that pull, when you close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let everything else fade, something sacred happens. The fear that's been haunting you begins to lift. The questions that have tormented you start to quiet. You may not get all the answers, but you feel something stronger than answers. You feel peace. And that peace is not ordinary. It's divine confirmation that God is near. It's his way of saying, you've reached me. I'm here. You're safe now. Before tomorrow morning comes, take this seriously. If your soul feels the call to be still tonight, obey it. That quiet moment could be the exact second heaven rewrites your path. Don't resist it. Don't fill it with noise. Just sit, listen, breathe, and know that even in your silence, heaven is working. God says, before tomorrow begins, meet me in the quiet, because what he's about to do next in your life will require the peace you receive tonight. There are moments in life when you can feel a shift in your spirit, long before anything changes in the natural. You can't explain it, but deep inside, something feels different, lighter, more alert, more awake. That is not imagination, that is spiritual awareness. It's the quiet whisper of heaven announcing, something new is coming. When God begins a new season, he doesn't always announce it through words or visions. He announces it through feeling. You begin to sense it before you can see it. Suddenly, things that used to drain you no longer hold your attention. People who once filled your world now fade into the background. The music you listen to doesn't sound the same. The places you used to go feel unfamiliar, and the conversations that once satisfied you now seem empty. It's not that you've changed overnight. It's that your soul has outgrown the old frequency. Heaven is expanding you for what's next. That feeling you have right now, the restlessness, the quiet excitement, the strange mix of fear and faith, it's not confusion, it's birth. Every new chapter begins with contraction, the tension of letting go and reaching forward at the same time. You might feel torn between what was and what's coming, but that's how transformation feels. Before the new comes, God often unsettles your comfort. He shakes what you thought was stable so that your spirit learns to depend only on Him. If everything feels uncertain right now, it's because you're standing at the border between old and new, between who you were and who you're becoming. This is not the end, it's the awakening. When God is about to start something new, He first ends what no longer serves your purpose. That's why you may have noticed certain doors closing lately. Opportunities that seemed perfect suddenly vanish. Relationships that once felt aligned now drift away. Habits that once comforted you suddenly lose their hold. These are not losses, they're divine subtractions. God is making room for what fits your next level. You cannot enter the next season carrying the weight of the last one. So if it feels like things are being stripped away, remember, pruning always happens before fruit. The discomfort you feel tonight is proof that something greater is being prepared in silence. You've probably noticed how your intuition has sharpened lately, how you sense things faster, how your discernment feels stronger, how you know when something is right or wrong, even before it happens. That's spiritual maturity awakening within you. God is tuning your spirit to recognize new opportunities, divine connections, and unseen blessings. You might not have all the details, but your spirit already knows something big is coming. That's why you can't shake this inner anticipation. It's heaven's signal, a whisper that says, "Get ready." The next season requires your faith, not your fear. And here's the truth. Every major shift begins quietly. The night before the miracle always feels ordinary. You may go to bed tonight thinking nothing has changed, but heaven has already declared movement in your name. The reason you feel a stirring before the morning comes is because destiny moves in silence. The unseen world is already rearranging on your behalf. While you're resting, God is writing new beginnings into your story. He's setting the stage, aligning the right people, opening the right doors, preparing the right moments, all for the unveiling that's coming. So if your heart feels expectant tonight, even though you can't explain why, rejoice. That's the Holy Spirit breathing fresh purpose into you. That's God saying, "You've completed one assignment, and now I'm preparing you for another." What you're sensing is not just a change of circumstances, it's a change of identity. You are stepping into the version of yourself that was hidden beneath every trial, every loss, every lonely night. The waiting season wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God had to strengthen your spirit so you could handle the weight of the blessing that's coming. And now that your heart has matured, heaven is ready to release it. You might not see the full picture yet, but pay attention to how light you feel. That inner peace is confirmation. The anxiety that once controlled you is fading because your soul recognizes what your eyes cannot yet see. That the season of delay is ending. You're on the edge of divine acceleration. Everything you've prayed for, cried for, and fought for is closer than it's ever been. The nights of confusion are turning into mornings of clarity. The pain that once crushed you is turning into wisdom. The prayers that felt unanswered are finally echoing back as miracles. Before tomorrow morning, take a moment to thank God for this feeling, this awareness that something new is about to begin. It's not just hope, it's prophecy. Your spirit isn't guessing, it's remembering what heaven already wrote. So don't be afraid of the unknown. Don't mourn what's ending. Don't cling to what's fading. The same God who carried you through the dark is now calling you into the dawn. This new beginning will not look like your past, it will exceed it. The people you lost, the tears you shed, the nights you questioned everything, none of it was wasted. It all led you here, to this very moment, on the edge of something divine. Chosen one, if your soul feels alive tonight, if you can sense that something is about to shift, know this, you are right. You are standing in the pre-dawn of your breakthrough. Heaven has whispered your name. The spiritual realm has already declared movement. And when the morning comes, you will see evidence of what your spirit already knew. God says, this is your turning point. You have felt it for a reason. What begins now will carry my promise. So rest tonight, not in fear, but in faith. Because by the time tomorrow morning arrives, a new season will have already begun. If you've made it this far, it's not by chance. Your spirit was meant to hear this tonight. Every sign, every stirring in your heart, every quiet whisper in your soul has been leading you here. God is not warning you, He's preparing you. Before tomorrow morning, something within you is about to shift. The confusion will clear, the silence will speak, and the heaviness will lift. You'll wake up different, not because the world changed overnight, but because you did. You see, chosen one, God has been watching your endurance, your faith, your battles that no one else saw. And now, heaven is aligning the next part of your journey. You've been in the shadows for a reason, not forgotten, but protected. God hides His strongest warriors until the time is right to reveal them, and your time is closer than you think. So tonight, don't just hear this message, feel it. Let it echo in your spirit. Talk to God. Surrender what still hurts. Forgive what still lingers, because by the time the sun rises, new strength will rise with you. The storm didn't destroy you, it purified you. And what's coming next will prove why you had to walk through everything that tried to break you. You are not here by mistake. You are chosen, anointed, and set apart for something greater. Heaven has declared your name, and your story is far from over. So hold on. Pray one more time. Believe one more time, because before tomorrow morning, God will move.